Do you know what car many historians say was the first muscle car in America? It's not the Mustang or the GTO. It's a family sedan that came out in 1950, the Oldsmobile 88. Think about the United States after World War II. New roads, young soldiers coming home hungry for speed, families who need a car that can take the kids to a picnic and also make a lot of noise when you step on the gas. GM caught that moment and made a monster that was hidden under a tame shell. The Oldsmobile 88 was more than just a hit. It changed the way people thought about family cars. It was the first to put the famous rocket V8 engine into a lightweight frame, which made the power-to-weight ratio higher than anything else at the time. That combination started the whole muscle car era. Let's get into the story of how a simple sedan became a legend for speed. To find out why the 1950 Oldsmobile 88 became an icon, we need to go back to the late 1940s when America was full of energy after World War II. Things were going well for the economy. The first parts of the interstate highway system were being built, and people were buying cars like crazy. GM was the best car company in the world, and there was a clear brand hierarchy. Chevrolet is for the average person, Buick is for the wealthy, and Oldsmobile is in the middle. Oldsmobile knew that Americans wanted more than just a way to get around. They wanted a car that was both reliable and stylish. They wanted a car that made them feel good about themselves and was fun to drive. So they did something risky: use a smaller, lighter chassis that is usually only used for cheaper models and put a brand new engine in it, stronger than anything else in its class. The end result was a car that was strong like a luxury model, but also quick and affordable. The name 88 even sounded like a promise. It sounded new, quick, and a lot like the jet planes of the time. The car quickly became a sign of hope after the war, new, powerful, and ready to take on the open road. People rushed to buy Oldsmobiles, and sales went through the roof. The outside had Oldsmobile's Futuramic style, which they used to describe a clean, streamlined, and almost futuristic look. From the nose to the tail, the lines were smooth. The rounded roof fit snugly over the windows, giving the building a smooth, unified shape. I can still remember the first time I saw an 88 in person. The front end was what really stood out to me. A thin, wide grille runs across the front of the car and frames the shiny Oldsmobile emblem like the tip of a speeding arrow. The rocket ornament on the hood is one of the most charming parts. Not very big, but strong. It was like a promise that there was power waiting to be found. There were a lot of different body styles: the small two-door club coupe, the useful four-door sedan, and the fun convertible for weekends when you want to turn heads. The car had a polished look with its rounded rear fenders and neatly integrated tail lights that made it look like it belonged in the jet age. I love that it doesn't feel scary, even though it looks fancy. You feel like you should drive it when you stand next to it, as if the car is daring you to see how fast it can go. And that feeling of being connected was a big part of why the 80s were so successful. It felt like a car that was made just for you. When you open the door of the 88, you enter a new world. A mix of design from the 1950s and aviation that is comfortable. The cabin is roomy, and the full-width front bench seat can easily fit 3 adults. It feels like you're sitting down on a strong, well-built couch that keeps you in place. I still remember the first time I sat in an 88. The door closing with a solid thud told me I was in something big. There is a round Art Deco-style instrument cluster in front of you, with a big speedometer that is easy to read. The Oldsmobile emblem is proudly displayed in the middle of the large 2-spoke steering wheel. The controls are well organized, from the optional AM radio to the switches for the heater and fan. These were extras in 1950, not things that came with the car. The headliner is light in color, which makes the cabin feel open, and the hand crank windows roll easily. The smell of leather and metal together takes you back in time right away. The 88 is a performance-oriented model, but it still remembers that it's a family car. The back bench has room for kids and bags for a weekend picnic. And this is why the Oldsmobile 88 became so famous. The motor is inside it. The power plant Oldsmobile chose was a brand new V8, which was much better than anything else in the cheap car market in 1950, taking up more than 300 cubic inches. With a modern overhead valve, OV layout, it outperformed the old flathead V8s by a wide margin. It had a rated output of about 135 horsepower, which may not sound like much today, but in 1950 it made the 88 one of the fastest sedans in America. A 3-speed manual transmission was standard, but the real game changer was the optional 4-speed hydromatic automatic, which competitors didn't have yet. This mix made the 88 not only simple to drive, but also very fast, going from 0 to 60 mph in about 12 to 13 seconds. It goes faster than almost anything else in its price range. The best thing about it for drivers was the great power-to-weight ratio. The car moved forward quickly when you pressed the gas, and the deep V8 rumble filled the cabin. It was both smooth and exciting to drive an 88. You could go to church with your whole family on Sunday morning and then go to a drag race that same afternoon. Owners quickly saw how much this car could do. They put in 4-barrel carburetors, performance camshafts, and even loud exhausts to let the engine breathe. The end result was street 80s that could outrun almost anything. They were much faster than the factory numbers and quickly became known as the kings of the stoplight drag. This power surge had real effects. By the early 1950s, a number of states reported a worrying rise in high-speed accidents and blamed these new cars that went too fast. Some lawmakers even thought about lowering speed limits just to make cars like the Oldsmobile 88 less dangerous. The social effects were much bigger than GM had planned for. GM was even worried. Internal notes show that they were worried that the 80's power could get regular drivers into trouble if they weren't careful at high speeds. But instead of toning it down, GM leaned into the performance image and sold the 88 as a car for people who wanted to have fun. For a whole generation of American teens, it became a dream machine. In NASCAR's first season in 1949, the 88 won a lot of races, proving that its power wasn't just a marketing trick. By 1950 and 1951, it was the best car on the Grand National Circuit. Bill Rexford and Red Byron were two of the drivers who won championships and put Oldsmobile at the top. The success didn't stop there. The 88 also took part in the tough Carrera Panamaniana, a multi-day race across Mexico known for its extreme heat, rough roads, and dangerous mountain passes. But the 88 finished strong, showing that it was both fast and strong. These wins did more than just make Oldsmobile look good. They turned the 88 into the car that every young gearhead wanted to own. The most amazing thing is that many of these race cars were only slightly modified versions of regular cars. This means you could walk into a dealership and buy almost the same car that had just won on Sunday. This win on Sunday, sell on Monday effect brought customers right to Oldsmobile showrooms. The Oldsmobile 88 quickly became famous as it raced on tracks. The song Rocket 88, which came out in 1951, is one of the best examples. People think it was the first rock and roll record ever made. The lyrics praise the car as a symbol of speed, freedom, and the joy of driving. This made the 88 a star, not just on the road, but also on the radio. At the same time, street drag racing culture took off, and the 88 was often the car to beat. A lot of stories say that you could hear an 88's engine rumble from blocks away before a race. People cheered as cars raced down parking lots and quiet streets in the suburbs, turning them into makeshift drag strips. The 88 was in movies and ads as a sign of post-war prosperity, in addition to music and racing. For a lot of American families, having an 88 was a sign that they had made it in the new era. The 1950 Oldsmobile 88 was the first piece of what would become the muscle car puzzle. Oldsmobile's idea of a lightweight chassis and powerful engine became the standard for a whole generation of muscle cars in the 1960s. The 88 led the way for the 1964 Pontiac GTO, the Chevy Chevelle SS396, the Buick GS, and even the Dodge Charger. A lot of car historians call it Muscle Car 0.5 because it was the first car that was called a muscle car. The 80s had an effect on more than just engineering. It shifted American buyers' expectations. Cars were no longer just for getting from one place to another. They were meant to be thrilling, strong, and enjoyable to drive. This made other car companies have to respond, which started a horsepower race in the 1950s and 1960s. The 1950 Oldsmobile 88 is a popular item for collectors today. At auctions, original holiday coues and convertibles can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. It's not just about having a classic car, it's about having a piece of the past, the time when America first connected speed and freedom. The Oldsmobile 88 was more than just a vehicle. It was the spark that started a whole era. It showed that a family sedan could be exciting to drive and set the stage for the muscle car boom of the 1960s. Seeing an 88 in person makes me feel like I'm watching America's speed dream come true. And what's amazing is that more than 70 years later, fans still talk about the 88 with respect. It reminds us that power and feelings can go together and that a simple idea can start a big change. Give drivers a car that makes them happy when they drive it. Have you ever seen an 88 in person? Please leave a comment with your memories or thoughts about this car. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep an eye out for more stories about famous cars from America's golden age.